In the last 6 years, this man has written 6 New York Times bestsellers, including Strangers, Watchers, and Midnight. His books have also been the basis of many movies and teleplays. Please welcome Dean Koontz, folks. Dean. You know, I met Clive Barker once. Now I'm meeting you, and you guys both seem... As soon as you walk around a corner, you look so normal, and I think, God, this stuff that dwells in your head, does it ever bother you?
Not half as much as that Bob Hope business. It's scared the hell out of me.
Oh, Bob.
No, wait. Side of your face, you look a little bit like Billy Crystal. That's for Teresa Russell.
She was in horror. He wrote horror, but when they got together... all right, Deanster. Now, hey, you know, I read that your book, we had Miss USA on here a while ago, and she said that your books were #1 amongst contestants in the Miss USA beauty contest. What the hell's that mean?
It means the put down these beauty contestants get is undeserved. They're obviously intellectual women.
Very literate.
Yeah, very literate.
Sure. I'm right there with you, Dean.
A little weird.
Now, how do you, so often with things that are, you know, terror seems to be such a instinctual thing, but I'm sure a lot of hard work goes into this. What's your typical schedule for writing a book, for instance? You a hard worker, or it just comes and goes, or?
10 or 12 hours a day, but a writer's day is kind of dull to talk about. I mean, you sit in a room, and the biggest thing that happens is a pencil point snaps, you know, and or you sting yourself with a gum band.
Right.
You know, it's not a big...
Or you get the ultimate terror, block. You ever think about that, or you just don't have that problem?
I just don't have that problem. Thank God, it just keeps coming. It's...
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think, writer's block. Every time in my life I've ever thought, oh, God, I hope I don't get writer's block, you tend to get it, so it's best not to think about it.
It's always self-doubt. And we all have it. Any creative person has it. But if you play into it, then it locks you up and you're finished.
Right. Now, I read this quote from one of your books, Hideaway, and it's from your publisher. It says, "Some say evil is just the consequence of our actions, no more than a result of our will, but I believe it's that much more. I believe evil is a very real source and energy quite apart from us, a presence in the world." Now, I guess a lot of evil in the news lately with Mr. Dahmer. What goes wrong with somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer? Is he broken, or is there just a evil quotient out there in the universe?
I think that, well, it's odd you'd ask that, because when I was writing this book, there's a psychotic killer in it who is so weird that there was a point where he was doing something so strange and disgusting that for 2 days I almost got writer's block, because I started to think, this fella is too strange. People are not going to buy him. He's too weird. The 2 days of that I couldn't write because I was so locked up in that. The third day was the Dahmer story broke. My character wasn't weird at all compared to Jeffrey's. Nothing I could come up with is anything half as weird as life. But I think there's, with a lot of this, and sociopathic behavior has a genetic quality to it. I think someday we'll find because they're all lacking the same thing. They're lacking compassion, or even the ability for it, the ability to empathize with our feelings, and they generally fake emotions, and there seems to be something missing there. And it doesn't always equate with a brutalized childhood.
Right. I thought did you see Dahmer's sort of soliloquy at the end? He hit all the right notes. That was the most terrifying thing to me. You're watching this guy you're afraid of, and he was almost eloquent. Jeez, it was bizarre.
What bothered me more was I kept thinking, this man worked in a chocolate factory, and...
Oh, man. Jeez, man, now I'm blocking. Now, how do you do your writing? You work at home? Or you have an office? Or?
It's one of the great things. I don't have to get on the freeway, don't have to take shots or shoot at anyone.
Save ammo during the night.
And so I work at home, I have a little room to myself. That's the worst part of writing. You have to lock that door, you stay away from people, and if you like people, that's always bad.
Yeah, and you're not generally a misanthropic type? You like people?
No, as long as I get to beat somebody up once every 6 months, I get along just fine.
Now you're somebody who has the inverse problem that most have. There are a lot of great artists out there who never make a buck off it, and it's tough. It's a tough life. But do you have aspirations to? Would you like to do the great American novel that's not read as much, or are you quite happy?
I have this belief that the great American novels were written for the masses. It's a modern conceit that if you write for the masses, you can't be good.
Right.
Dickens wrote for the masses. Trollope wrote for the masses. They're not Americans, so they didn't write the great American novel, but most of those people, Twain wrote for the masses. I think it's sort of strange to think I'll write the great American novel. It'll be something nobody reads, but everybody admires.
So they're not mutually exclusive at
No.
all. Give me a quick synopsis on Hideaway here. I haven't jumped into this one. What happens here?
It's scary, first of all.
Okay.
It's a fellow who dies. He's dead 80 minutes, and he's brought back to life. We're almost there. People have been brought back to life after being dead 66 minutes. That's the record to this point. Generally, it's a hypothermic situation.
How was the guy at 66 minutes when they brought him back? He functioned, or was he just...
It was a girl, and it was no brain damage. She died in a cold river, icy river. And that's the way extended death can not damage the brain. Although sometimes they have cooled somebody's blood who died in a non-hypothermic situation where they died in a warm place, and they could fix what had killed them quickly. It was an injury, so they have a cooling machine that will cool the blood down, and they've kept people that way 10 or 15 minutes, but the longer ones have been for that. Anyway, he comes back from the dead, essentially, and believes he may have brought something back with him as terrible things start to happen, but it's a different explanation than that.
Ooh, sounds good. Okay, Dean, thanks for coming on. Dean Koontz, folks, we'll be right back. Lloyd Cole, right after this. Something Burning.